Okay, there we go. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for everyone for being here, and I'll go right ahead and hand it over to Dr. Ash, who will be helping us introduce this.
Thank you. I want to start by conveying my gratitude to Prachi for being here with us, and it's truly a privilege to be able to hear your story, to spend time with you, and to be able to learn about the amazing things you're doing, Prachi. So I just want to convey my gratitude on behalf of the entire Pop family, of which you're a central part. For making the time, for being here, and for sharing, which truly counts for everything. And I also wish to welcome everyone else who joins us to the Pop Climate Leadership Conversations, a tribute to our chief mentor. This project aims to strengthen youth leadership and explore tactics that empower the youth to take action and tackle the most pressing environmental issues that are faced globally. We are conducting a series of conversations on leadership strategies and recommendations and reflections and examples, each focused on global leadership and a different pressing environmental issue. This initiative is designed and implemented as a tribute to our chief mentor, late Dr. R.K. Pachori. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with and spending time together with Prachi, the creator of Cool the Globe. Prachi, we're absolutely thrilled to be together with you. Thank you once again for joining us and for sharing.
Thank you so
And
much.
thank you. We're so inspired to be able to be together with you here and to listen in carefully to your story as we progress with this conversation. Thank you once again. And I'm going to hand over to Anna to take us through a quick welcome with your bio, which is hugely impressive. So thank you once again for sharing. And over to you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ash. I will now go ahead and introduce our speaker for today. Prachi is a communicator, climate entrepreneur, and the founder of an award-winning startup, Cool the Globe, an app and a movement for climate action with users from over 55 countries. Her journey started with a simple question: what can I do about climate change? From this, Cool the Globe was born to help citizens reduce their greenhouse gas emissions to a target. Prachi spends months covering stories of youths, farmer, waste picker communities, and citizen groups to understand the impact of climate change in their day-to-day lives. She firmly believes that when ordinary citizens come together, miracles can happen. We're so very happy and excited to have you here. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. And I will hand it back over to Ash, who will be asking our next question.
Thank you so much, Anna. Yes.
Thank you. And that was a beautiful introduction and a sneak peek into all the amazing things that are to come in this conversation and beyond. So thank you for sharing that. And I'd love to start, Prachi, by by asking you. You exemplify this in so many ways, but I'd love to get your thoughts and reflections on what leadership means to you.
Wow. Wow, that's such a wonderful question and a great one to start off with. Um, I spent some time thinking about this question, and when I was in college, and I decided that I wanted to be an entrepreneur who is also making an impact. One of the first things that I did was to look up who are the other leaders that inspire me, who are the other entrepreneurs that maybe I can spend some time with them, learn from them, see how things work on ground. And in order to learn that, I decided to go on a small journey. I contacted some of the entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs around me who really inspired me. And I asked them if I can just shadow them and be with them for a few months. And in that experience, that was my first experience with observing leadership at a big scale. And one of the first entrepreneur that I went to was a farmer from Pune. And he was a small dwelling farmer. He had inherited a small land from his ancestors. And he turned that. He made a model for 1 acre farmlands for farmers throughout India on how you could earn profits through group farming initiatives. And he turned something small that he had into a nationwide enterprise. Today his enterprise called Abhinav Farmers Club has around 1.5 lakh farmers from around India, and they have a revenue of 400 crores. From him, I learned one of the most important lessons, I think, of leadership, which is that leaders, and this I noticed from just being with him for a couple of months, I noticed that good leaders inspire and then let go. They have this ability to inspire people around them, and then they trust people to take it on their own after that. So I think that's one of the most important facets of leadership, and something that I've noticed in many people. After that, after releasing Cool the Globe, I had the opportunity to interact with many leaders, Dr. Ash being one of them. And there are many things that I learned from some of them as well. I think the second most important thing I learned about leadership is that, you would think that a leader in a room is the person who talks the most, a person who gives directions, a person who leads the people. But I think it many times it tends to be quite the opposite. Some of the greatest leaders I've known are the most quiet people in a room. They are the best listeners, and I think that for me is a great trait of leadership. That if you are somehow able to make the other person feel that you are really absorbing what they're saying, you are making their dreams and aspirations your own. I think that's a good facet of leadership as well. So I think for me, a good leader is somebody who can inspire, who can let go, who can listen, who can make people around them feel as if they have your entire attention. Um, and um, and then I think another important thing that I notice is also, um, it's not it's not like one brush. Leaders are also authentic. You don't have, they are not all made from the same stamp, which also means that it's a learned skill. So I think the most important trait in leadership is the desire to be a good leader, and the desire to make an impact. And once you have that, I think the rest of the things just follow, and the rest of the things you can learn on your own. So I think just wanting to be a good leader, and make a good impact is all that matters, and that's what leadership is to me.
Wow, that's really beautiful. I mean, I think you talked about so many important dimensions and traits, and I think your reflections on leadership are so important. The drive to be that force of inspiration and allowing everybody to thrive and be everything that they can be in their best is so important. And I really appreciate what you've shared, and I think it says a lot about you to me. And I think that's really beautiful. And thank you for your very profound reflection. I think that oftentimes, leadership is broken down into something that's more on the surface than at the depth that you've talked about. And I just want to say that to me, that's really important. And it, like I said, it is a great reflection of you as well. And I know that, and you've been very kind to say what you said, but I just want to say that to me, it's people like you who are, truly driving that change on the ground. You had an idea, you dared to dream, and you saw it through to manifestation and way beyond, I have no doubt. So I just want to say that we are going to learn so much from you as we go. But I think just having this initial sneak peek into what you stand for means so much to us. And thank you very much for sharing that, Prachi.
Thank you
I'm
so
gonna
much, sir. Maybe
thank
hopefully one day I can do justice to all the kind words you said. And
uh, like I said, Prachi, you live and breathe these, and I know from the first time we met, I was thinking about it. In fact, just a little while ago, it's there's just so much. You've got a wealth of so much to offer the world, and thank you very much. And we continue to grow and do it together. So thank
absolutely.
you, Prachi. I'm gonna ask Anna
Thank you
to
so much.
take us through the next. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ash, for the question, and Prachi for that amazing answer. I think everything you said really resonated with me, and I think what you said was so inspiring and so it's so how can we say this? It's so amazing to speak to you in these terms and really notice how there's so many things we all have in common, right? Everyone that's here and how we get inspired by different leaders and everything. So it's great to have the opportunity to talk here with you. And with that in mind, I would like to hand it over to Kevin, who will be asking the next questions.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Prachi.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much, Anna, for letting me speak. Prachi, first of all, I amazed with the answer you gave about leadership and that you actually seek and work with entrepreneurs in order to learn about leadership. That's wow, it's really, really inspiring. And I have a question more focused on the tool. So why are tools that focus on reducing our personal footprint important? And how can we spread the word about the importance of it, as sometimes many people focus on government action?
Right. Yes, that's a very important question, and one that I went through personally. So I didn't set out trying to build a tool to help people reduce their carbon footprint. It just started from an experiment we started in my own home. When I started wondering about what is it that I can do about climate change. And so in my house, I think some of you may have heard this story before, but me and my family, we decided to reduce our own greenhouse gas emissions by 10% to start with. And then we started researching on what ways, what activities of mine were leading to most emissions. How could I achieve that? How could I measure that? And using all of that research, we went on this quest to reduce my emissions by 10%. And when I started doing that, that's when many of my friends, my neighbors, my relatives, so many people came to me and said, it looks like you're doing something interesting, something different, and we would like to join in. Now that's when I began to think about how could I take this individual quest that we have taken on, and how can I involve global citizens into it. And that's where the importance of tools and technology comes in. So I think tools and technologies have the power to take something that you're doing at a personal level, at a small scale, and enable it to become global, and enable it to have many people join into that effort. And I think that's one of the most important powers of tools. But in order for that tool to be relevant, it should also be rooted in the will and objective behind it. I think why this tool was relevant, because I was doing it at my own level before, and I wanted many more people to join in. So I think it's the people behind the tools that make them important. And I think so I've personally experienced the power that tools can have in making things big. Because of the tool that we built, we were able to have citizens from different corners of the world join into this effort that I was doing at a very small scale. So I think scaling up is the most important aspect of tools. The other different aspect that they bring in is that in order to do something consistently, it has to be easy. It has to be made easier and easier. So tools will also allow us to make climate actions easy. And that's where, something that we've been doing manually at our own level, tools can make that process much more smoother for you, and that allows many more people to join in as well. So that's something that I noticed with this as well. And then the second part of your question was, uh, can you say ask it again?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
So the second is, and how can we spread the word about the importance of it, as sometimes many people focus on government action,
Yes,
but
absolutely.
not using tools.
Absolutely. So I think like what the tool helped me is to create an infrastructure which would enable many people to join in, and to create an infrastructure which would make climate action easy for citizens. So that's the benefit that tools brought in. But once I released this app, what I realized was that the real work is only just begun. I've created an infrastructure for people to join in, but it doesn't really mean anything without the people behind it. So then, I had to spread the word. So I've come across many campaigns with big budgets, with a lot of manpower to make things big, to spread the word, to make sophisticated ad campaigns. But if you don't have all of that, there's no need to be discouraged. I think today, with the power of digital media and social media, anybody can reach out to people from around the world, and that's something that I've experienced firsthand. And so when I realized that I wanted to reach out to many people, I started looking at other videos that had sort of gone viral, and how ordinary people had managed to reach more and more people. And I realized is that once when you have an authentic, honest conversation with the person in front of you, then people by themselves feel the urge and the need to drive that conversation forward. It sort of creates a ripple effect. I realized that there are two very important factors in order to spread the word, in order to spread the message, or to even make a video viral, for example. You have to be authentic, honest. That's always number one in order to do anything at all. But the other two important factors are also that at some level you have to be relatable. Everybody has to think that there's something for me to take away in here. This relates to my life. I've thought about this. This would be useful for me. So that relatability factor really helps spread the word. And the third important factor is uniqueness. Even if it's relatable, there has to be something new you're bringing in, something unique, that people think, oh wow, I've come to know about this exciting thing, and I want to tell 10 other friends about it. So I think in spreading the word, even though the social media and digital media has a very big power to spread the word, it always helps to do some study into what is actually making things viral, and why people want to share things. And when you done that, when you've put that thought into your messaging, then I think the rest just happens automatically. You just share it in your circles, and even people sharing it with two other friends, and their friends sharing it with two other people, that can create a wildfire, and that can enable millions of people around the world eventually to join in. And it almost feels like magic, and it's magic that I've experienced several times throughout the year through our campaigns. And it can be a beautiful feeling to know that people want to take action, and that people are taking charge to spread the word that they think is important. So I think just citizen-led grassroots campaigns have a big power to spread important messages.
Thank you very much. And how many people are already being part of Cool the Globe?
So through our campaigns, we've reached more than 2 million people. And we have now 23,000 plus users from over 55 countries, tuning into this app. And we're looking at reaching 24,000 by the end of this year.
Wow, that's really amazing. So now we can learn how to make everything, make it viral just by learning from you. Yeah, so and I so the people that are seeing us on YouTube, uh, I will ask them to join Cool the Globe because it's a really amazing tool in order to make a really big improvement on a daily basis and reduce the carbon footprint. And it's an easy app also. It's really friendly to use. So and
Thank you so
really,
much,
I'm
Kevin.
really inspired about how you managed to make Cool the Globe and do it really great. And every time I see you and hear about you, there's amazing stuff going on with Cool the Globe. So congratulations.
Same here, Kevin. Thank you so much. And I would love to have them join. It's the people that has made Cool the Globe what it is. And it's the people who are going to drive it forward. So I would love to have more and more people join in.
Perfect. We are going to spread the word, the voice also. So
Yes.
everyone from our circle joins Cool the Globe. And I will do the campaign of One Family, 10% reduction.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Prachi. I think that answer you gave is so inspiring about how the goal you set started spreading and you found the way to make it spread even faster through technology, right? And how we can spread the message in a more relatable and fun, authentic way in order for it to reach further. So thank you so much. Now I would like to hand it over to Trisha for the next question.
Thank you, Hannah.
Disha,
Um,
were
yeah,
you going to come to Pune?
yeah, but not now. It's
Okay.
Omicron. Yeah, so first of all, I would like to mention that the best part about listening to you is that you personalize every experience. So automatically it becomes really relatable, the second quality that you mentioned the tools should have. So thank you for sharing your experience with us. My question is now, again, if you will personalize it, it will be great to know what are some challenges you have encountered while creating this idea and making it happen? And do you think that some of these challenges come from being a young founder, or you feel that you are entering new into the field or bringing out a solution, so it's itself a challenge?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a very good question. I think it will allow me to maybe reflect on the early parts of my journey. And yes, a lot of these challenges, I think, from being a youngster gives you some challenges, but it also gives you a lot of benefits. So usually I tend to focus on the good parts of being young, but and forget the challenges. So it's always the most difficult question for me to answer because I always forget the challenges. But no, it's sometimes good to remember them so that so that you can learn from them as well. I think one of the biggest challenges that I faced, and I see many people facing, many young people facing, is that we don't often have an idea of what is possible. And I think once that happens, then sky is the limit. So being a young person who had started this initiative, living in a small city in India, I didn't know how big this world was. I didn't know how far it could reach. I didn't know of the potential. And once I know of the potential and the scale at which an initiative can go big, then even though I've not reached there, I've done half the work because I know where it has the possibility to reach. So I think one of the biggest challenges of young innovators is that we often don't have the resources, the ecosystem to know how big something can get, or to know what the possibilities are in this domain. And that's why mentorship for young entrepreneurs is so important, which Pop is doing so well, because mentors allow you to see a world in a different light that you may not have seen. So I think that's one of the challenges I faced early on as well, because I thought this was something that I wanted to work on Cooler Globe because it's something that I needed. That I wanted it to exist. I first started looking for other tools out there that would be there, and when I didn't find them, I was like, then we must do it ourselves if nobody else is doing it. But I had no idea that other people would need it too. And many times I found myself questioning, would people care about this? Would they, want to jump in on something like this? Where I was staying, many times, even though I met many friends, relatives who wanted to join in, I also met many people who didn't know what climate change was. If they did know it, they didn't care about it. If they did care about issues, they thought there are many, many issues around us, and why should they act on climate change? So there are many different layers of people like that I met. And I didn't know that maybe sitting in some other corner of the world, there could be a citizen who would be ready to take action through my platform. So just not having that knowledge was, I think, one of the biggest challenges. Not knowing the scale of my initiative. Sometimes what we make, their potential is bigger than our vision. But through the process, once we start working on it, you would also find that your vision expands through the conversations you have with the conversations I'm having with all of you. And that's why I cherish the time I spend with Pop, because it allows me to talk to people from around the world, and it expands my vision every time I talk to all of you. So I think that's one big challenge. The second challenge is also, sort of related to it. I feel like as long as you keep faith in what you're doing, then the rest of the challenges sort of get solved automatically, but there are some times when you start questioning whether this is worthwhile, whether this is going to lead somewhere. And that happens especially in the stage before people come in. So before we started campaigning, before we started reaching out, there was this very arduous, time consuming task of building the technical part of it, into doing some tasks which take weeks and weeks to happen. And you don't know where it's leading. The outcomes are many times not immediate. It takes months and months for it to lead somewhere. And so to be patient in that time and to continue to have faith that this is something worthwhile, I think that's a big challenge. And as long as you continue to have that, then the other challenges are very solvable. So another thing that I just recently realized is that, as long as you are covered on those two fronts, your vision and you have faith in what you're doing, then the other challenges that come in, you have the answers to them yourself. All you need is maybe sometimes more clarity, maybe sometimes spending more time and thought into how we could solve this. And sometimes you need more information, which you can find through research or talking to other people, other experts, who can help you out. The other challenges are very solvable. These two challenges, they are the foundation of whether or not you would make or break.
Thank you so much for telling us, in detail about those challenges you encountered, and sharing with us uh, like every step of that success. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trisha and Prachi. Now we had a question with Dani, but unfortunately she apparently she has really bad connection, so she's not here with us. But I'll ask her the question on her behalf. She wanted to know how you can communicate the importance of community action and how this translates to bigger impact.
Right. Yes, that's a very important question. And I think, before you come to community action, when you're talking to community or any kind of people, to get them to act is the very last step. So when I was in college, I did a thesis on the role of behavioral theories in combating climate change. And through the process of that research, I asked people around me, so essentially there are 5 stages to taking action. First, you are in pre-contemplation stage where you don't even know what the problem is. Then you're in contemplation where you know about it, sort of have heard about it. Then, you are more knowledgeable about it. Then you start maybe caring about it. And the very last step is action. And I surveyed, I had a couple of questions for each stage to gauge which stage people are in. And I surveyed about 300 people to get to gauge which stage they are in for taking action on climate change. And can you guess how many of them were in action stage? Of 300 people, how many of them were ready to take action on climate change?
I don't know, 200?
200. Okay. Any
What?
other guesses? One. Kevin gets it. Yes, we had one person who was in action readiness stage, and I think that one person was my father, who was already helping make this app. So he didn't really have a choice. So yes, only one person was truly in the action phase. So there are many, and maybe this is the case in India, maybe abroad the case is a bit different. Maybe it was a case in my surroundings, but there are many steps to cross before we come to community action. And the important part is that, I find that people take action when they think this is something that impacts the very core things that they care about. Like as ordinary people, we don't really care that much about polar ice melting in some other corner of the world. We don't really care that much about rising sea levels, or changing monsoons. We care about very simple things. We care about our family. We care about our health. We care about our food, our homes. We care about our livelihoods and the people around us. And the moment we start communicating to people in that language about climate action, I think that's when they would be ready to take that step. We need to convince people that we need to show them that climate change is impacting our homes, it is impacting our lives, it is impacting our families. And when we realize that, then there is nothing that we can't do. Once we realize that it matters to us, that it matters to my family, that's when I would be ready to take action. And I think the best way to drive community action is to start with individual action. When I take action in my life, even though people around me were not technically ready to take action on climate change, I noticed that when I started taking action, people were driven towards that. People get inspired by action. They want to be closer to where the activity is happening. So when an individual takes action in their own lives, that inspires people around them to follow suit. And when it inspires 10 other people around me, then they form a collective and look at what other things they can start doing at a community level. So I think individual action is the foundation of all of it. And that really, then the things start happening automatically after that.
Thank you so much. And I completely agree. It's so important to take personal action and inspire through action, the action of others, right? It's this ripple effect that happens in such an interesting way. And I think it would be really amazing to discuss further, maybe in another conversation or another meeting with Danny and I, if you would agree, since we're doing something similar in Mexico regarding a platform to promote climate action. So it'd be amazing to share insights on both sides and see how the insights we've learned here in Mexico and the insights you've learned in India may help each other find further solutions for each other. So I think that would be amazing if I'll send you a message after this conversation and we can coordinate that call. But yeah, I'm really inspired by everything you've shared with us today, and I really appreciate everything your all your experience that you're sharing with us, and how you talk in such, like you were saying, an authentic and real way, right? Telling us about your personal experience. And with that, I would like to hand it over to Priyanka, who will be asking our last question.
Hi, Priyanka.
Hi, Prachi. Thank you so much, Anna. It's so nice to have this opportunity to ask this question to you. Thank you so much for everything that you've been sharing with us in the course of the last, 1 hour. And truly, you're inspiring. I know Prachi on a personal level as well, and we've shared some things like our journey and everything, and it's just incredible. Thank you for inspiring all of us so much. And
Priyanka and I were in the same college.
Yes. I was a senior by a year.
Yes.
By 2 years, and I didn't know.
And we discovered that after meeting each other at POP. So
Yes,
we don't know.
yeah, so Pop helped us connect. So thank you so much for that. But I'll just get to my question. So it's a two-part question. Firstly, as a young leader, how can you motivate more youth to speak up for climate action? And secondly, as you know, the COP26 recently happened, and there has been mixed emotions about it. So, what are your expectations after the commitments made at COP26?
Yeah. Okay. So I think somehow both of these questions are connected, because while a lot of people did not, were a bit disappointed with what happened at COP26, and after COP26, I in fact happened to speak to a group of youngsters, to brief them about what happened there. And while I was thinking about, what were the worthwhile moments that happened that I can speak about, and the most worthwhile thing that I could think of were not the remarks by the world leaders, the important people who were there. But I think the most significant part were the 400 plus youth delegates that went there to speak about climate action, were the 30,000 people who were standing outside, that to show that they cared about the outcome, were the many people who spoke through their social media feeds on what's happening at COP26 and why it's significant. So I think is the responses of people, and that showed us that they cared, and that was the most remarkable outcome of COP26. I think the ordinary citizens and the response of youth. A young girl from India, Vinisha, she spoke at COP26. I think most of you would have seen her bite. I think that was the most remarkable thing, that she made the most sense, that it was the youth of today who said something that really made the most sense, that really inspired many people. So I think the youth taking the lead and showing that they care was something that I noticed at COP26, and that was my takeaway, and that was my reason for hope and enthusiasm. um, how can the youth be mobilized to act on climate change, or how can we convince them of the importance? um, I'm very happy to say that I feel like they don't need much convincing today. They are the ones who are doing the convincing part. So I get the opportunity sometimes to speak with different kinds of people, speak with citizen groups, corporates, sometimes even leaders, but I'm the most prepared and scared when I'm talking to children in school, or when I'm talking to youth, because the kind of questions they ask, they're so knowledgeable, they're so backed with facts and information, they're so prepared, uh, more prepared than the most refined journalists that you would come across. And that always leaves me the most energized. So of all the interactions I've had with youth and children, I feel like they do the convincing to me, to keep working on this. They are my inspiration, and it always goes that way. I think what we need to do for youth is sometimes to tell them that it's okay for them to maybe yell at their parents, at their teachers, at the grown-ups, more aggressively, to tell them of the importance of acting on climate change, because I feel like the youth already know it, and we need to empower them to be more vocal about it. We need to empower them to show them that when they speak, we are going to listen. And I think they already know the importance, and we just need to give them a platform. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I lost my net in between. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I missed your bit in between. I'm so sorry, but I'll catch up. But thank you so much, Prachi, once again for joining us for this leadership conversation. And I cannot wait to keep connecting with you and see everything that you do great going ahead.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. It was so nice to see you. I was very happy to hear your voice here today.
Yes, same here, same here.
I really appreciate that question, Priyanka, and that amazing answer as well, Prachi. I think the way you linked both questions was so interesting and so motivating as well. So I think this is very important, right? Having like the youth really stepping up and not being afraid of speaking up and speaking out, even if those who are the big decision makers are adults, right? We shouldn't let that hinder our right to a healthy planet and a sustainable future, right? So with that, I would like to, well, thank you again. Of course, this has been an amazing conversation, and hand it over to Dr. Ash for any final conclusions he might want to add.
So I will echo everybody's sentiments here and say that, it's amazing because we've been able to listen in and also get an incredible peek, and each time we do, into your being, your leadership, and your work, which is a reflection of all of that. And I just want to thank you, as everybody else I know over here, and probably those who are listening. There's several probably right now, but going forward too, will have to say. But I do want to say that, just to add one more thing to your amazing and beautiful responses, that really, I think a lot of young people are those leaders that you were talking about. And I think, I hope we will appreciate that there are leaders of today, and young people are also leaders of tomorrow. And yes, I know that there's always been a situation where we have or have had young people sort of on the peripheries, oftentimes invited to all of these meetings, typically have a very tokenistic, representative, sort of visually representative role, or just a checkbox. Sort of, we've had young people, but no real meaningful, substantive engagement. And I think you pointed out repeatedly as we heard you speak, and I think very rightly so, that, it's the action that counts, that young people are not just aware, but driven, and have the constituency to call to question adults from different spheres. And I do agree. I mean, whether we consider the COP, or we consider what is essential in terms of creating movements, or what is important from the point of view of making change, and like you said, it's got a snowball effect. We find that young people are the ones who are at the helm of it. And so we really should be doing much more to have young people be the drivers of the change. I know that we've seen resistance from the global leadership and all the politics and power and, money and everything. And I hope that transition takes place, where people understand that young people, otherwise young people are relegated to, leaders of someday in the future. The young people are leaders of today. And what I want to get at also, Prachi, is that, we are very honored to magnify your story to the world, because I think that you represent that, exactly that. And I think that the more we're able to do it, the greater that constituency will also be able to be formulated as something that is there and takes its space and its place in this world. And I think that's where we're going to see a lot of change happen. And you're right. There's change possible at so many levels. And when you think of grassroots movements and the action on the ground, it's unstoppable. So, I just want to say that we're very honored to be able to listen in and learn so much about you, what you stand for, and all that's really important. And we want to be able to share this conversation very widely, because I think, when younger people are able to see this, that's when suddenly there's a new recognition of reality, and that these things are possible. And that's where the hope is. And you talked about that. I want to say we love and respect with all our hearts the leadership you exemplify and the light and the hope that you represent. And once again, I'd like to thank you for your time. And I want to say a great big thanks for being a precious part of the Pop family, for making the time and for sharing and for taking all that effort to connect. And I think as you connect with many, many more, as you will, no doubt, as you go, you'll keep touching people in their lives. And sometimes it's hard to see what you're doing, because it happens on a daily basis and it's something that builds up. But I just want to say it's powerful, and I want to say that it's important to be conscious of it, because you do have that impact. And I'm really happy that you have been able to also meet several people here. I know there's much to exchange. This will be one among many conversations, and we're really looking forward to it. I also want to thank the amazing family I know we have here. Some have been able to join and then had to leave because of lack of connectivity. But to each one of you for being here, and those that aren't too, for your beautiful voices, for your values, for everything you do and everything you stand for. And don't let anybody ever tell you that you can't, because you more than demonstrate, you stand for and you belong to all that you do. And you are the example. So we don't need to look very far. And I just want to say that it's truly been an honor. And I know that you touch my life in a way that it's changed forever already. And I know there are many, 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 many that you do every single day of your lives and will continue to. So just know how special you are, and how much love and respect I have for you. And I know I speak on behalf of many. So thank you so much once again. And I can't wait for more.
Thank you so much, Asher. It was such an honor to be here and to speak to everyone. And my heart is always filled with so much love and appreciation for everything you do. And at the end of the day, when I know that I'm going to end my day by speaking to all of you, I already knew that it was going to be a good day. So here's to many more.
To many, many more. And I'm going to ask those who can get a camera to come on to just get a quick screen grab. And then we shall share this widely. And thank you so much again, and blessings. I've got that. Thank you. I'll share this right away. Thank you guys so much. And thank you, Prachi.
Yes. But
thank you, Anna.
The questions today were so interesting. I want to hear everybody else's answers as well.
That's